Am I the a-hole for choosing to go to my son's football match instead of my daughter's gymnastics event? My daughter, 17, is a high school gymnast. My son, 16, plays football for both the high school team and pro team's youth academy. Our country is starting to release the restrictions, and one of the restrictions finally allows my son's team to play football matches with spectators. My daughter has been able to go to gymnastics events for the past 3 months, while my son has only been able to train with restrictions, as gymnastics is a non-contact sport. Now my daughter's event is at her school, which she can take the train to in around 25 minutes. However, my son's match is around 35 minutes drive and an hour-long train ride. The issue is that both of these events are supposed to start 10 minutes from each other, and the locations are opposite directions. Point is, I physically cannot go to both events. I made the decision, as the titles say, to go to my son's match because I haven't seen him play in a long time, and I've gone to all my daughter's gymnastics events. My son also needs to ride a lot more than my daughter does, as my daughter travels that route every day. My daughter has been super pissed and calling me sexist because I'm not going to her event and saying I'm choosing my son over her. Whilst I will not admit I do enjoy watching football more than gymnastics, mainly because I'm a pro footballer. I do my best to not show it, but I normally make sure my attentiveness and my attendance at both their events is equal. Am I the a-hole?
Nas, it's a lose-lose situation. I think unfortunately your daughter has picked up on the fact that you enjoy football more, and that's why she's upset. Your view is spot on. Spot the F on. Being focused and interested in something a parent has no interest in is a skill you learn as a parent because your child is interested in it. Easy, no, but you learn it because kids aren't idiots. They see, hear, and sense things. Yeah, my relationship to my dad is similar. He would come to my band events, always told me I did well, etc., but it wasn't the same level of daily interest, discussion, and investment that went into the sports my brothers played. Not like I hate him or think he hates me or anything, but we're not as close BC of it. All of this, exactly this. I'm 36 and I still remember so many instances of being treated differently because of age and gender among my parents. Her poor hormones are also doing her no favors as this age lol. Additional info: what is the relevant importance of each event? Like if this is the daughter's last event as a high school gymnast versus an average game, even if it is the first in a while for your son, then that would influence whether or not OP is treating them fairly. Also missing information, OP stated that the daughter has been able to attend gymnastics events over the past 3 months. I did not see where he stated that he has been attending these events. You're reading an awful lot between lines there. The kids are teenagers. Teenagers been known as the most rational and emotionally mature people any of us deal with. If he says he attends and shows interest to both equally, who are you to doubt that? How many gymnastics events are there in a season? I'm only asking since my daughter dances and she only has 3 to 4 competitions a year, where my son has 20 hockey games a year, regular season. If his game was the same time as one of her comps, I would go to her comp because he has many more opportunities to play, and I am guessing there is more to this story. Guessing that you probably used to go to his events and not hers, so she doesn't feel it is evened out yet. Maybe you need to go to hundreds more of her events before it is evened out. NTA. If you've been able to go to her events for months, and this is the first football match you, or your son, have been able to go to in all that time, it's only fair to prioritize the latter. NTA. It sounds like you've been to her other events in the last 3 months, is that correct? If that's the case, you're definitely not an asshole. It makes sense to see the child who you haven't seen compete in the last 3 months, and this is the first chance to see your son play in a while. NTA. Logistically, it makes more sense to go with your son. Your daughter had 3 months of events you went to, now it is your son's turn. That's fair. Yo, you are clearly not being sexist, your daughter is just being a typical Nah, teen's gonna teen. It was a scheduling conflict. I was ready to say AITA until I read it. Your daughter needs to let your son have a few moments too, but do talk to her in reality about how she thinks you act. You might not actually be doing a great job of hiding your dislike of gymnastics. Info? Are you a single dad? And is their mother still alive or in their lives? If mom is not in the picture, I would be willing to guess this has something to do with the fact that her brother has you to bond with as a fellow dude and she feels angry that she doesn't have that. I could absolutely see this being the case. I just noticed that your post didn't mention their mom at all, and it sounds like your daughter would have to be by herself at her gymnastics meet. Nah, but it's clear your daughter has picked up on the fact that you care more about your son's hobbies, and honestly that's unacceptable. You gotta figure out what you can do to make her feel more like you care. NTA, if roles were reversed and you'd been going to your son's matches for the past 3 months and not seen her doing gymnastics, but you now have the opportunity and she needs that lift, car ride if it's the same for Americans, then she'd expect you to be at her event for sure. Nah, you can't be in 2 places at once, that's just physics. Also, kids will be kids, they don't tend to think about things from another's perspective, especially teenagers. As long as you do your best to be there for each of them as equally as possible, you're doing the right thing. NTA at all. Both your kids need attention. If you have already been attending to her events for 3 months, it's only fair you attend your son's match now. She should be able to understand being 17. You have stated that you have been attending your daughter's event so far. It is only fair that the one time your son gets to play you attend his, rather than your daughter. He hasn't had his dad, I assume, support him yet. Well, she has, several times. You aren't sexist, you did the best thing you could in the lose-lose situation.